The tradition of lawyers serving poor communities is an important part of our history. As a youth activist, Dalla Umar defended myself and many other young people for no charge at all. Dalla, our first Justice Minister, spent his life defending poor people, past law victims and workers. Very often his family went without money, and Farida, his wife, had to earn money by selling vegetables and fruit at the Salt River Market. We need young lawyers, black and white, who continue this tradition of sacrifice and engagement. Some of these lawyers are today to be found at the Legal Resources Centre.
I became aware that there exists a position of a fellow for 2001 here at the LRC. When I was a student, it's a place I aspired to be part of, right? So I quickly drafted my CV and I faxed it, and I still remember it was the 23rd of November 2000. Yeah. So I came for an interview, and again, it was a hassle. I didn't have any money. I had to sell some of my things to make sure that I come for an interview. If you have regard to what was going on in the 80s, even though I was young, detention without trials, invariably LRC was there to assist those who couldn't assert their rights then. Right? Detention without trial, for an example. Hangings at the time. I mean, people like Arthur Chaskelson, you know, he's a top-notch lawyer. So we're aware of them. I mean, he was also involved in the Matiba trial. So I was aware that this organization was composed of people of high caliber who had regard for human rights.
I just wanted to work for an organization whose values I felt comfortable with, and I didn't want to work for a commercial firm. I didn't fit in.
That's a picture of Mr. Mani, a farm worker faced with eviction that we represented. And that's Mr. Moza, the main applicant in the class action, who I don't think you've met, eh?
No, unfortunately not.
The case started long before Mzu and I joined the LRC. But they started off doing individual cases on behalf of people whose grants had been who'd been cancelled, and they noticed that there was just an increasing number of people were coming to the LRC and saying, "Hey, my grant's been cancelled. I don't know why. I wasn't given any notice. I wasn't given any warning." The LRC realised that it was actually much greater than they'd initially thought.
Uyonatana ke kukho imali yami yayityiwe ndaya kuye wayiphanda ephanda apha Home Affairs apha ezantsi iselapha esigingqini wayiphanda ndayifumana loo mali ndimazinjalo uYonatana ngoxelelwa ke ngabanye ootata bathi nantsi i-black search uyakuphandela le mali ndamazi njalo ze ndikwazi uba nale yalo mntana ndiye kuye.
The Constitution Section 33(1) states it quite clear that everyone has a right to administrative justice, which means that if, for example, you have to take the decision to cancel a grant, give reasons, inform that particular person of the fact that you are cancelling his grant. Now, they didn't have regard to that.
We went to court for Nuza, Meltafa, and 2 other people, and we asked the court to declare that their grants had been cancelled unlawfully and that their grants must be reinstated with back pay and interest and costs of that application. But then we went on to ask the court to give us permission for those 4 people to represent the class. And the class were all those people whose grants had been unlawfully cancelled from 1 March 1996 to date, which was in September 2000.
People were not afforded an opportunity to be heard. Right, which is crucial. You are faced with a situation where people do not, their only source of income is their disability grant. At least at best, inform the people that you intend to do this process, right?
Sasofika phasi sathi sokhangela indodla ikafikini. Kwathi ikafiki sathi sobuza ndandobuza ke mina ngoba kwathi ngoba nisenisithi ngoba nje kanenene naniqhase ngamagqwetha. Yendim ke nguNombulelo noNgcuza sobathathu. Yena ke ngosele rongo nami ndarongo ke ngokuba andafuna ukuphendula kakuhle uba ndabona umntwana uyagula nabo baphendula rongo ke lahlo kuba kaloku bebenosiphendula kakuhle banothi sithemele ngamaqwetha. Yabona umzekelo nami phanga ndaba zabantu andithi njengoba ndandenzela nto noba bathetha ntoni na akho nto ndiyikhathalele ndasuka wethu asuka ndandinivusa nanilele ndidenza nanilele ndanivusa musinanilele uyifumana kwam kuze icheck i-14 rand.
Uyifumana kwakho kuqala kwisafumana la 1000 yenyanga ezimbini.
Kaloku uqale kweza leyazi siyibuyise sithi
la check uqale 14000 sesiyibuyise. Okay.
Qhubeka kani.
Bathi ubunombulelo batsho kumndini nanku apha endlini bathi makeze azosayina nansi imali yakhe angabaphindi asithini kanini angaphinde usingxolela pha.
Department officials went with local political or local politicians and actually pressurized these people to accept the checks. And what happened is Mrs. Meltafa and Mr. Nuza came to our office the next day. Here they arrived Monday morning with these checks for, I think Mr. Nuza's was in the region of 44,000 rand.
Ebena siyisibike la check paput. Uthe usara bani ayifuna le mali ningayisebenzisa. Kodwa ke zeniyazi ngenzeka ba le check nifumana nje ngenzeka kunyanga ezayo anizofumana imali endodla. Uphendula wathi umama lento yelendodla nombulelo isesandleni zenu nje seyilungisa ngokwenu ngoba kunini abazayilungisa.
And so all four of them didn't hesitate in saying, no, we're not accepting the offer. We understand that there's going to be a delay for us and it'll be some time before we get our money, but if it's going to help thousands of other people, we're fine in not accepting that offer.
Baninzi kodwa abantu abafuna uya ngaphambili kundawo zoncedo. Uba kaloku buyika lento kuthiwa abantu baya emagqwetheni. Umzekelo mna yabona uba ndingene phaa kandaba zabantu ndaziwa nangumuntu ebengandazi uba nanku la Mama Meltafa uya emagqwetheni phofu bangayibeki ngolo hlobo kodwa ndiqonda uba hayi low way mos.
Obviously we were delighted with the Supreme Court of Appeal judgment.
Esaya futhi soyitshintshelo check le Standard Bank. Emva koko sathini makho
saba sigqibeni. Umbutho wami utata wandincedidayo lo ndawo uba mandikhululeke emakhamandeleni. Nam ndinalo ilungelo lento uba ndiziyele kuni maqwetha. Mandela usenzele into ezinhle kakhulu Mandela. Sinawo amalungelo ukuba into irongo uyibona ibirongo uye ngaphambili. Kodwa ungayengo ngesikezo. Uye ngendawo ethe straight benembeko. Siyayivuyela lento yenzekayo ngathi thina. Kodwa sifuna iqhubekeke abantu basebaninzi abantu abangafumani imali endodla ubona ba lo muntu lo ebefanele kuyifumana le mali angayifumani. Athi ngenxa into ba yena akakwazi uhlala acinge yedwa. Ucinga nabantu. Sucinga nabantu intweni. Cinga wedwa wenze.
I'm going to read from the Supreme Court of Appeal judgment where Judge Cameron says, all this speaks of a contempt for people and process that does not befit an organ of government under our constitutional dispensation. It is not the function of the courts to criticize government's decisions in the area of social policy. But when an organ of government invokes legal processes to impede the rightful claims of its citizens, it defies the Constitution, which commands all organs of state to be loyal to the Constitution and requires that public administration be conducted on the basis that people's needs must be responded to.
Tshintsho lihle kakhulu tata. Yo lihle kakhulu kanti xa la lifike ngoku elitshintsho linje. Yenisithi noko ngoku phumle kakhulu kodwa ndiphumle ke nangoku ngoba kukho itshintsho lihle kangaka nje.